I got involved with the Poudre River runs through it in 2012, and that's when it began. It was a great idea then, and it's still a great idea. And at the beginning, we were grappling with what are we about? What are we here to do? And we decided that our mission would be to create the world's best example of a healthy working river. We finally developed a handful of initiatives, and those initiatives are still happening today.
PRTI is a convener of people who have ideas and motivations and the ability to get things done when we do work related to the Poudre. What the group has done over time is help to build trust between the various people and the organizations that they represent.
There'd been a mistrust, so to speak, that I don't know was going to be bridged. And I think it was at one of these initial PRTI meetings where I think we surprised one another. Just convening those interests had never taken place before.
Every organization has to move forward according to its mission and the services that it provides, but I think by convening the group, we have a better collective understanding.
It was initiated by the Water Institute at Colorado State University, Mary Lou Smith and Reagan Wascom. I remember the very day that they came to my office and were bending my arm to participate in this collaborative river group. And the initial cohort was composed of people throughout the community.
As the initial intent was, build some collaboration between folks that don't always collaborate together very well, all with the interest of keeping the Poudre a healthy, working river.
We meet several times a year, and at any given meeting, it's, I'd say, 25 to 30 people in the room discussing what they're doing with the river. The group that forms PRTI includes all different types of folks who have a vested interest in the river. Everyone from farmers to ditch companies. You know, we're small industry and manufacturing.
Business people, water experts, water engineers.
People who are responsible for maintaining recreational spaces, people who are concerned about the health of the river.
Folks from various municipalities, Greeley, Fort Collins.
And we all got together so we could all learn more about each other and more about how the river functions and how we can work together and collaborate. So the Poudre River, the headwaters are in Rocky Mountain National Park, flows through Fort Collins, Timnath, Windsor, and Greeley, and meets the confluence of the river with the South Platte, a little bit east of Greeley. Everybody's reliant on it, from agriculture to the environment to residents. So there's a lot of demands on the river. It works really, really hard, and that's a big challenge for it to continue to do that year after year after year.
There are many challenges facing the Poudre Basin. We have had several initiatives brought forward in the group to try to put into action.
PRTI itself does not have funding, so to speak, other than the funding we bring in to just support the convening of what we do. So the funding for the various initiatives has to come from other sources. What is helpful is, for example, when the PRTI either collectively or the leadership can write letters of support and indicate in various funding circles that this is a project that we would like to see go forward. That does carry some weight, and then we just have to go after funding from multiple sources to do the work that we do.
In order for the PRTI group to go forward with an initiative, it has to be unanimous.
These are collaborative, outcome-based, broad-range, consensus initiatives that everyone can get around.
Throughout the years with PRTI, we've investigated several different initiatives, like the Flows Initiative, and then there's a call on the Poudre where we address water operations.
This conference call occurs generally every 2 weeks during the spring, summer, and fall as the flows pick up. And on this call are the larger municipal entities and the largest ditch companies, and also environmental and recreational folks, along with Northern Water and, most important, the Water Commissioner, providing information on the flow in the river and the call situation. And then each of the city's major ditch companies provides information on their demands and also on reservoir releases they might have. By sharing that information, everyone knows what everyone else is doing, This allows folks to ask questions and just hopefully improves the communication between these major users.
In its simplest terms, the Flows Initiative intended to be just an augmentation plan, but a different version. Most people are familiar with a well augmentation plan, where you need to put water in the river to replace stream depletions from well pumping. The idea was merely, why can't we use the same concept to replace river need, essentially? The parties involved all have maybe different motivations for being involved, but the overall goal is to not be injurious to existing water rights, create a legal mechanism where parties can use water rights to supplement stream flow. There was concern about low flow times and dry up points in the river. These low flow conditions and dry up points have been a condition on the river for decades, probably over a century. So the plan is intended to provide a legal means within the prior appropriation system to not be injurious to existing water rights in order to improve those conditions on the stream. We knew we needed to add the Colorado Water Conservation Board in order to legally make it work. We're developing the memorandum of understanding between the group about how it's going to operate into the future. But we've already set the stage for that. I think we all envision this is going to be a voluntary, locally based program.
So one of the first initiatives we did was gauge the Poudre, and we wanted to create a real-world visual for people using the Poudre River to have an understanding of what the different flows in the river meant and look like. So we put some interpretive signage in with a staff gauge on the abutment behind me at Colorado Boulevard, and then one also at Martinez Park in Fort Collins. We wanted to help people understand what a CFS of water looked like, just so people could see what the river's doing and have a little better understanding what a high flow versus a low flow looks like and what that means.
One thing that we've been working on is the Poudre Basin Information website. It provides various information products, including maps and dashboards with indicators. It's a bit of a straw man in some ways, and in the near term we're going to fill those things out so that all of that information is complete. Almost every discussion starts with, well, what data do we have? What information do we have? And so what we're trying to do is provide a lot of that up front, and then the goal would be that different people and different organizations begin to use the website in their operations, whether that's to support decision making or to help them with efficiency, getting to data more easily, and perhaps work with students and other groups that need to be brought up to speed.
We've been trying to initiate some agricultural initiatives as we go forward, and this particular initiative was a funding request with the USDA through their program called PL 566 to create opportunities for organizations that don't have funding in place for big projects to go find funding to help pay for some of these bigger projects. And it's a request to fund several different ag-related water projects in the Poudre Basin: canal automation, river diversion structures, new storage, and dredging reservoirs, in accompanying with forest health and soil health projects. We've just initiated the investigation of feasibility report. All these requests for funding are coming through the Conservation District as a primary sponsor in partnership with many of the local ag water users in the basin. And so this is just the beginning, and a lot more to come.
So the Poudre River Forum provides a really nice outlet for folks who want to be more informed, but it also allows for people who are really integrally involved in managing the water to get together and bond over the course of the day.
And the thought there was to bring even a bigger audience together to talk about issues on the river and opportunities. We had the feeling that there wasn't enough opportunity to learn and have conversations together. And so we decided that it would be appropriate to sponsor a community-wide event, and we would invite speakers and have panels to touch on issues related to the Poudre River and sometimes statewide water issues. We've had them over in Greeley, we've had them in Fort Collins, we've had them on the I-25 corridor. And I think it's been pretty successful over the years. We've had strong attendance and a lot of interest.
There are many challenges facing the Poudre Basin. Over the last few years, obviously, we've seen forest fires impact our basin. Urban growth continues in the Poudre Basin at a high rate. Where is the water going to come from? It's going to come from ag. How is that going to impact our facilities, our operations, the economies in the basin? With the climate change that is predicted to keep coming towards us, we're going to see different changes in patterns of the flow. How are we going to take advantage of the years when the river is high, when there are increased flows, and try to balance out those drought years? And as the basin faces these challenges, I think a group like PRTI is beneficial.
So the organization has grown and changed over time, as you might expect. Initially, the Colorado State University and the Water Institute were instrumental in getting the whole initiative started. And then Mary Lou Smith retired, and then Reagan retired. And we've had great fortune in that the Poudre Heritage Alliance has been willing to step forward to help us with administration and putting together the Poudre River Forum. So there has been a changing of the guard, so to speak, and I'm excited that PRTI is carrying on, and I think that shows the strength of the organization.
You have folks from many areas of expertise talking about the concerns before you get too far down the road. I think the PRTI group provides a good place to have this sounding board for projects and concerns on the river.